it's a upward spiral, and you can have orgasms that achieve level that you would not have believed possible in the past. So much so that at some point I thought I would fry my brain because I couldn't get out of one. And after 30 minutes, I was like, that's it. I'm gonna, this is my life.
I'm never gonna eat again. I'm just gonna orgasm till I die. Welcome to Reclaim Your Radiance, a sex, love, and relationship podcast where our focus is on your most important relationship, the one with yourself. Each episode, we are joined by an insightful guest who shares their story about how they've become their best, most radiant selves, despite diverse challenges. We dive into the depths of loving yourself, creating healthy relationships, and prioritizing pleasure, play, and joy, all while never shying away from the tough stuff. Are you ready? Let's get to it. Welcome back to Reclaim Your Radiance, a podcast about sex, love, relationships, pleasure, and living your most turned on life. This week we are speaking about orgasms, but not just ordinary orgasms or simple climaxes, but joygasms and full body orgasms and creating your own new kind of orgasms, learning how to orgasm from any part of your body. Or from anything, orgasming in ways you didn't even know was possible, orgasming so many times you think you might die. Okay, this sounds too good to be true, but believe it, we are going to be going through a 7-step process to get you to a new type of orgasm that has been proven to work. Okay, I know I just sounded like an infomercial, but I promise it's true. We can all learn how to harness our body's physiology to bring us unlimited pleasure. And in this episode, our special guest will teach you how. She is also a Tantra teacher, and from her lens, she approaches it in a scientific way. She has orgasmed in MRI machines for science and for you and for herself, just to make sure that there wasn't some kind of hidden danger in orgasming so long that she questioned whether or not she was going to be okay. She is a master at what she has coined as Joygasms, where you can imagine it, and I'm going to let her tell you all about it. Joining us today is Sensa. Sensa is a Renaissance woman who explores the world with insatiable curiosity. She graduated with dual degrees in civil and common law, in addition to holding a teaching degree. She is an energetic orgasms expert. She's achieved more than 150 orgasms in a day, with some lasting up to 5 minutes. She's explored various aspects of energetic orgasms, ranging from light touch to intense emotions. Her greatest achievements as a teacher is that 90% of her class succeeded in reaching an energetic orgasm after just 1 hour of instruction. She's also a life coach, specializing in sensuality, depression, and procrastination. She's an event facilitator, organizing events for adults to connect with their inner child, which includes agnostic clown church, providing her attendees with community, fun, and a sense of spirituality. She also officiates themed weddings. Last but not least, she's also a professional cuddler. She founded the first cuddling company in Canada, which unfortunately got closed due to COVID, but she was the keynote speaker at the first International Professional Cuddling Expo and has been interviewed by media outlets worldwide, including those in Hong Kong, France, and Poland. And I have the deep, deep honor of calling her a very close and personal friend and engaging in committed absurdity with her all the time. It's amazing. But before I let you meet her, I have a few announcements to make. All right, my voice can do this. We can do this. We can do this. It's so sore from so much fun, so much talking, so much connecting. For all listeners, if you are feeling like everything is pretty good, but there is something keeping you from getting what you want, from living the life that you want, I invite you to consider the fact that your brain is not designed to keep you happy, but instead to keep you safe. And over time, sometimes our brains and our bodies start protecting us from things that they have unconsciously decided are unsafe because they've caused hurt in the past. Sometimes that's love, connection, sex, relationships, our dream jobs, or our dreams in general, and we feel unable to get what we desire because part of ourselves, an unconscious part, doesn't feel like it's safe to do so. If this is you, if this resonates with you, come talk to me. This is a huge part of what I do. If you want to deepen your pleasure, or have more incredible orgasms, or rid yourself of painful sex, or feel more alive and vital and radiant, also come talk to me about somatic sex coaching. For listeners in the Vancouver area or anywhere in BC, I will be offering my very first 2-day immersive retreat on Bowen Island from September 20th to 22nd over the fall solstice. Applications are now open. It is called Wild Woman Rising, and it is a sacred sensuality retreat for women and pussy owners who wish to deepen their pleasure and create powerful relationships with their bodies, immerse themselves in sisterhood and nature, and reclaim that primal sense of being fully radiantly alive. Oh, can you tell how much I love the word radiant? I'm so excited for this incredible experience. It has been a dream of mine to put this on for so long, and ultimately this vision is probably what started the podcast. There are limited spots available, so click on the link in the podcast description to get your applications in. And lastly, anyone hitting up the festival circuit in BC this summer, come find me at a variety of local Burning Man events and festivals, including Enliven and the Big Burn in Nevada. This summer, I will be offering a whole new slew of fun workshops and events, including sex magic, heart-opening breathwork, pussy worship, body worship, a proper female sexual anatomy lesson, pleasure breathwork, and more. Join the WhatsApp group through the link in the podcast description to hear about all these offers and these workshops taking place in the city and online throughout the rest of the year. All right, my voice is about to give out on me because, like I said, I've been having just so much fun, and it's tired. And so thankfully the rest of this episode was pre-recorded, so you will not hear my scratchy voice anymore. So without further ado, enjoy, and I do so declare and dedicate that this next hour of your listening pleasure is for your pleasure and the infinite possibilities that it holds. Enjoy. All right. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Yourself?
I'm doing so good. Thank you for being here and for joining me on the podcast today.
Absolutely.
So, do you want to start by telling the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, I would like to talk to you about my name. So I call myself Sensa for all the personal care that I do. And why I chose Sensa is because Sensa is the plural of sensum. And sensum in the scientific community, it's the immediate awareness that we have, such as color, shape, sound, smells, tactic feelings. So it's all the inner perception. And as I'm teaching some sensuality, but from a scientific perspective, Sensa seemed to me that it was the perfect name. So this is the one that I'm calling myself with to the world.
I love that so much. That suits you so well. And yeah, perfectly introduces what we're here to talk about today, which is, Tantra from like a scientific perspective and with like just a different lens where we can really kind of make it more accessible. Because I find that a lot of people get maybe a little bit like shy away from Tantra because it seems like such a big concept and it's become such a buzzword.
It is. And it's a buzzword also because it means so many things. So today I'm happy that we can clarify at least some different forms that Tantra can have.
Yeah, I think because there's like all the different versions are all correct, right? And everybody's interpretations are right. But you know, there's so many different ways to see it and to interact with it and to bring it forth into your way of being and to bring pleasure to our life with it.
Yay!
Pleasure!
Yeah, if I may, one of the first distinction that I would bring is a more like ancient Tantra and more modern one, or more historic one and more modern one. And before there was a lot in the Eastern world, it began in India, and it's mostly spiritual. There's religious, and there's a component that is sexual. And of course, like a lot of things from the Eastern culture, the Western culture has taken what they like the most. And some of it was sex. So a lot of the urban way the modern way is called urban Tantra. But I want to clarify that there are so many teachers of urban Tantra that basically you go to one teacher or you go to another one and you will have different teaching. This is why I believe that it's important to bring a little bit more of a scientific perspective, because I've been to several of those teachers, and what I was hearing was often very, very unsatisfactory because it was not resonating with what we know of science. And I imagine that for a lot of listeners of that, they would say, well, I don't believe it's true, therefore it cannot exist. As for me, because I felt it, I was tempted to say, this is not true. But okay, if I feel it, I'm going to accept that it is possible, at least in the subjective truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you've touched on it a little bit there, but if you could kind of like dial it into, what does Tantra mean to you?
Okay. So I will have to make a little bit of detour for that.
Love it. All the detours.
Can I start on how I arrived to Tantra?
Yes, absolutely.
So I am a very persevering person.
No.
And I was married for 4 years to a woman who was not satisfying me. And most people would have decided it was not acceptable. I tried to make it acceptable, and I tried to find joy and happiness and orgasms in that relationship, even if it was hard to do. So I kind of stumbled on my own into how to have full energetic body orgasms. And I was having that on my own. I thought I was a freak, a lovely freak, but I freak nevertheless, nonetheless.
Yes.
Until someone says, have you explored Tantra? Have you explored Kundalini? Have you explored? And then they were giving me like a bunch of different ones. And going to those ones, I saw that we had certain thing in commonality, but there were a lot of things that were not common. So what means Tantra for me? It means people who are playing with their inner world to make it real. In a sense, Tantra is a dance that you can do with life. There's the objective life, there's the subjective life, and where the yummy is when you accept the middle, the junction of both of them. So Tantra for me is the junction of objective life and subjective life.
Oh, I love that definition so much. That's so yummy and beautiful. And just, yes, it's your inner world.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that so much.
And so afterwards, how does it go is I have like 9 years of university behind my belt. I studied law. So looking at evidence for me is very important. It's not all evidence that have the same weight. And this is when I'm really, really into scrupulous, very rigorous, I would say, not scrupulous, rigorous scientific process that I'm looking into. And I will have a lot of listeners that will not like what I will say, but I will say it. I believe in the pursuit of truth before all else. And it seemed that all the Tantra, all the places that talks about energy, it's not proven by science that energy exists, quote unquote. And why is a lot for rigorous science, you need to to research something, you need to make a prediction and measure it. But when you talk to all those gurus of Tantra, they have all different definitions of energy. They have different mechanism on how it could work. And so the rigorous scientific process, you need at least, if you have an extraordinary claim, you have to have extraordinary evidence, which we don't have. And if we don't have that, we need to have at least a mechanism that makes sense and that we all agree upon. So usually the scientific community is like, well, how can we study Tantra if you don't even have a common definition? If you guys don't even agree on what is the energy, quote unquote. And it's interesting because everyone talks about energy and everyone can feel energy. Yeah. So that's the tricky part. How can we say it doesn't exist, but yet we feel it? We all feel it. So there's a lot of examples in life where so many people feel it and it's not true. So this is not a given that this is true if we all feel it. But I did talk to certain neurologists and ask them what my pet theory is, and to ask, is this consistent with what we know of science? So far, it seems that the energy is something that we can feel through our brain. But our brain interprets a lot of things. It's like like when you open your computer, this is the screen, but you don't know what is behind all the apps and what is happening. So this is a little bit the same thing. What we know is we can feel something that is called energy, but we don't know what is in the background, why it is. So my pet theory that a lot of neuroscientists has agreed it could be possible is that what is energy is just your center of focus. Where do you put your focus in your body? You may feel it more. In a sense, like Vipassana meditation, if you breathe and you focus on your upper lips to feel the wind, you will feel the wind. You will feel the buzz. You will feel sensation there. If you don't concentrate there, it's still there. The wind is still there. So the energy may be just when we focus to a place, we bring our attention and we feel that part to be more alive. Mm-hmm. So what does it mean? All your work. I'm asking myself the questions.
I'm just along for the ride, guys. I'm just sitting here being like, oh my God, yeah, this is great. Keep going.
So what does it mean is that we can use that for our own good. And when I say using the middle ground between science and like objective truth and our subjective truth, I don't need it to be proven scientifically if I enjoy the feeling. So if you create in your brain connections and those connections become true, this is a subjective truth that has some reality. But that reality is in your brain and doesn't go beyond your brain. And it's fine because you don't need your orgasm to go beyond your brain.
No, your orgasm's in your brain. Yep. And in your body, but
yeah. So, one of my best hypothesis for what I call joygasms, which are full body orgasms, is simply connections that we have created in our brain, that whatever this was linked with this, therefore we have that.
Yeah. And actually, sorry, I'm gonna interject for a second and just I was studying how to change the way that you orgasm. And yeah, basically it's that neurological theory of what fires together wires together, right? And so that in that same way, you can teach your body to orgasm in different ways as long as you use the same way that you've always been using and then interlace the other one in. Exactly. So it's the same thing, I'm assuming. Okay.
It's exactly that. And actually, I love that you said it the right way. A lot of people say neurons that fire together, that wires together, fire together. So I love that you said it the right way.
I almost did. and then I did it. But yeah, it's as simple as like, you know, you always use a vibrator and you want to be able to orgasm through your nipples instead. Like, okay, you use the vibrator and then you bring in the nipples and you slowly bring in more and more and more of the nipples until your brain starts to recognize, oh, my nipples are getting played with. Orgasm time. Boom.
Mm-hmm. And if I may share, and maybe I shouldn't, but I will.
Oh, please do.
One of the realization why it happened to me is I was, someone did bondage to me and I was tied up and I was feeling vibrations in my genitals. And vibration, this is my first stimuli that I attach to something. So the vibration in my genitals. And I was feeling it big time. And I had I was blindfolded, so I couldn't see. And at some point I felt those vibrations and I'm like, wow, I'm really, really excited. I'm going to have an orgasm. And I did. The kick is that when my blindfold was removed, I saw that my feet were tied in front of my genitals. And it was actually the circulation that was cut from my feet that was creating the buzz and the vibrations. So I just had an orgasm from my feet being bonded and lacking blood, which I attributed to my genital being excited. And my brain did not see the difference, therefore it orgasmed. And then I was like, wait, I can do that? And then I started hypothesizing and I'm like, okay, if that's true, I want to have orgasms with colors. How can I do that? And then every time I had an orgasm, I was starting to think like rainbows and colors. And then, so I started having some hypotheses like this and it works. So, yeah. And then I talked to my friends about it and they succeed to get one joygasm just after me 1 hour of telling them how it happened. So I even created a technique to be able to teach it to people.
Woo!
Yeah. And I know there's plenty of techniques, but I love this point. I love this one because I can do it in a PowerPoint form and there's 7 points. So it really, really pleased my scientific mind.
Oh, it's just so good. It's so good. All right. So are you going to tell us those 7 steps?
Ooh, I can.
All right.
I will and I want. So the first step is acknowledging the possibilities. And the reason why we're doing this today is that the first step is knowing that it's possible.
Yeah.
And that's why I always start with bragging how powerful my orgasm can be, how multiple they can be. And the purpose is not only bragging, believe it or not, but also for people to know it's possible.
Yeah.
And if you know it can be, then you can go to step 2. And of course, this is a huge summary. Otherwise, I would go through all the different possibilities. The second step is believing that you can do it yourself. And this, in a nutshell, I love it because there's so many people that it can work. For example, people with high nervous system. So people with anxiety. Those work super well, or people who are excited about life, like younger people who have a lot of energy, they usually reach it a little bit quicker than the other people.
Mm-hmm. So for step number 2, if I could add something, one way that I've found to be able to start to dissect whether or not you believe in your own success is ask yourself, from the scale of 1 to 10, how successful do you believe that you could be?
I love that.
Right? And if you're anywhere below a 7, is what I've been taught, that's something to look at. Because if you're anywhere below a 7, you don't really truly kind of believe that it's possible. And so you need to take a look at, okay, why don't I think it's possible? Maybe journal on it or something, or whatever works for you to process, and then start looking at those things. And then once you get to a 7, that's when you would try. Right, that's when you would move to level 3.
I love it. And when you say when you'll get to a 7, I thought about Monica and Friends.
Yes, 7! I reached a 7! Oh, if anybody doesn't know that scene, it's fucking amazing. So basically, Chandler comes in and he's like, oh, they're teaching him about the erogenous zones of women, and they're like, well, everybody knows the 7 basic erogenous zones, and she draws a body and she draws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and of course we don't get to see the 7 erogenous zones, but we could guess. And then she's like, throw in a 1, throw in a 2, throw in a 3, 4, 5, right? And then she starts 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 7, 7, 7. She just ends with like 7, 7, and like mouthing it silently, like imagining it's happening. And then everybody in the room just goes, yep, that'll do it. Just like disperses.
I love how you added an 8 in there. I don't know which one is your 8, but I would love to know.
Did I add in an 8? I don't even know. I just started throwing out numbers.
Anyway, to come back to, so I love what you're saying. Absolutely, you need to believe in yourself. And what I say is people with body awareness are good for that.
Mm-hmm.
People who can get like hypnotized easily are very good for that. In a way, it's a kind of self-hypnosis, right? So highly sensitive people, a lot of them feel that it's a burden. But this, for once, it can be a superpower. So I really invite them, people who are highly sensitive, to jump 2 feet into that. They will love it. Mm-hmm. So people who just love sensations in general, like, and I could continue, like people who have who are nerds, because they have like people who are nerds, but with a lot of self-awareness with their way of thinking. So they are aware of their thoughts and they can really be more into it. So find your root, why you could believe in yourself. There's reason for every one of you to be successful.
Yeah.
Anyway, the third step.
Third step. I jumped again. I was like, I have a thing that could help with the successfulness. Anyways, that was great. That was a great tangent.
This third step, it's meditating or visualizing. So it's basically making those neurons firing together. So this is, what do you want to achieve? How do you want to achieve? One way that I really love is to know that, a technique that I really love is to know that in your body, this is a kind of canvas, and it has 1,000 pixels. And if you concentrate on the pixel that feels the most intensity in your whole body, and you're able to hyper-focus on that, then you, instead of having like a 1 out of 10 in your body sensation, you just raise a 10 out of 10 in your body sensations, and you have raised your inner pleasure just by the power of your thoughts. I don't know if that's clear or not.
Okay, so if I could summarize, I'm like, yes, maybe. So like, okay, let's say that I'm in a meditative state. I'm sitting, I'm like concentrating on my body, and I'm scanning my body for the part of me that feels the most sensation.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And then, for example, it's your hips. For some reason, your hips hurt, or whatever it is. It can be your genitals because you're horny. It can be whatever, your heart. So you have that, and it's like, ooh, that feels like a 2 out of 10 in my whole body. But I'm just going to think about that part. And it's like you zoom in, and instead of having the 1,000 pixels that your body represents, you zoom on the 100 pixels that are the most important. Then you breathe in, and then you enlarge that part. And then you zoom in again. Every breath you take, you go deeper in there until you zoom in and you go again with the 10 pixels that are the most intense. Then you zoom in with the pixel that is the most intense. So what is the epicenter of your sensation? And if you're able to find the epicenter of the part of your body that feels the most, and you don't attach it like pain, you don't attach it with I want to pee, you don't attach it with any narrative, you just say this is intense. So the intensity, usually for me at least, this is one way, right? Mm-hmm. So the intensity, usually people have an orgasm because it's intense. Mm-hmm. So you take the intensity, you remove all the narratives, and you can attach it, the intensity, with anything that can give you an orgasm.
Yeah.
Just by visualizing.
Yeah, I love that.
Or if it's the rainbows, you want to have rainbows. Every time you have an orgasm, you think about rainbows. Like, and if rainbow can be hard, just try one color at first.
Color orgasms. We see that you did get to color orgasms.
So yeah, the fourth step is visualization. Fifth step.
Okay.
I call it the pushing it, or the small fake. Okay?
Okay.
So people who say fake it until you make it, I believe what they forget to say is you have to have the next small step that your brain would believe, or that you could make an attachment with your neurons that would make sense. If it's a big thing that it doesn't make sense, it won't wire together. So what I love is when you have that intensity, when you have that color, you can say instead, so you find ways to attach it. For example, one sentence I love is, this is so intense that if I were to have an orgasm, it would be now. And then you wait for it into like waiting with expectations, with delight. So it can be, I said, this is so intense. It could be, this is so yellow colorish. Like if you try to have a yellow orgasm. So this is so blank that now, if I were to have an orgasm, now would be it. Mm-hmm. And then you wait and you see in your body what happens. And I call it a small fake because at first you don't know if you fake it. You just let it happen. Mm-hmm. And you may suggest to your body to have an orgasm. What would it look like? And basically it's your body and your mind that works into what would it look like for your body. And then you lean into it the next time. Oh, I noticed that my hips raised a little bit, had a movement. Maybe next time I'm going to listen to it a little bit more for my hips to be even more than movement. Oh, I'm growling. Oh my God. For me, maybe the growling is part of it. I'm going to lean into it more. So just noticing what happens. You let your body be and you notice and you lean into it.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. The like leaning into, oh yeah, my like just don't stop anything really, right? It's like dancing. It's like ecstatic dance almost, where like you're letting. Somebody once asked me, they're like, why is ecstatic dance different than normal dance? And I'm like, it's that you're letting your body just do whatever it wants. And they were like, isn't that normal dance? And it's like, no, it's different. It's different. It's like this, like, you're really just like, you're following your mind is following your body instead of your mind controlling your body.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But this one at first, so it's a mix of the two. You can even try things. So you can try and it's like, oh, I'm going to try this a little bit. And if your body, it doesn't feel good, that won't work. So it's really a conversation between your mind and your body. And the things that works are the things that both your mind and your body are like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I also think it's kind of in line with like some of the best like tools or like the tools that I've heard that are really, really good for orgasms. The three best ones being breath, movement, and sounding.
Yeah.
Right. And that like using those as actual things where you can experiment with like, how good does it feel to sound? And like even just like recognizing the link between your jaw and your pelvic floor, and that when you relax your jaw, you relax your pelvic floor.
I love that one. Yeah.
They're actually linked. Like you can picture it. Like there's just, all the muscles are linked to both. And, but yeah, that like trying out different forms of breath, like trying to breathe deeper, and then the movement is like not only just like the gyration of the hips maybe, but also, or like any body movement, but like also that you can move your inner pelvic floor and kind of like pump the pleasure around your body. I don't know if this is coming later in your explanation.
No, this is a subcategory. What I love about that, for me, the image I have, and of course you can have your own image, like the breath that thrusts like up and down, I believe it's my body, my belly, my lungs who are fucking the universe with the up, like it's thrusting the universe with in and out. And this is a way that I have my spiritual joygasms is really to see my breath, my genitals that I feel are pulsing with the in and out of my breath. And I'm like, without moving, I'm fucking the universe.
Yes. But also just fucking yourself. Like fucking yourself is fucking a piece of the universe if you like twist your brain into that like dimension. But yeah, also just want to give a shout out to sounding. If you're like, oh yeah, I totally sound like, once in a while. Like, no. Sounding is a magical portal to bliss. Yeah. It is just this magical place where you can just try out growling. Growl fucking primally. Or do the cute little, anything. It's all the portal. It's all the portal.
And what I love is when I do let my body do whatever it wants, it brings me in crazy places. So at some point I was singing, like throat singing, and I'm like, I did not know I could do that.
Like Peruvian?
Like,
oh, that's probably insulting. I'm sorry. Did not mean to be insulting that way.
Whoops. So yeah, the next step is rejoicing, because believe it or not, this is one of the best way you can meditate in some way. So I talk a lot about meditation. So this is a way to get there, is just orgasmic meditation. Of course, you can do that in masturbation. You can do that in any way. But for me, I feel that meditation is going to the essence and is working so well to create those connections that we need in our brain. So what I meant by rejoicing is, we all know meditation is often concentration on the breath, and it's good. But if you concentrate to follow your pleasure to the maximum in your body, that's even more fun meditation. So meditation will never be so enjoyable. Meditation to the point where you have an orgasm, yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, so that step is like after you've kind of like let your body do whatever it wants and like kind of fake it till you make it. The next step after that, you're saying, is like you meditate on those sensations. No?
Thank you. Thank you for specifying. No, I meant there that after the 5 one, the 5, you can just, yes, feel how does it feel like afterwards. But wherever you end up being, this is a practice.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time, if you don't have an orgasm, don't be like, oh no, I'm a failure and I will never. No, it's not at all that. What you can do is noticing is, do I feel more alive in my body? Do I feel more pleasure in my body? Do I feel different? And if it's a yes, even if it's a little bit more, then that's what I'm calling about rejoice. Joy, like be joyful about the process. It's a happy process.
Yeah, the word that I use for that is celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah, that practice of celebrating, like everything in all of life is just so, so beautiful. But yeah, like especially here, I see the power in just like whatever happened, radical acceptance, that's what needed to happen, and celebrate the shit out of yourself for that.
Yeah. And then the last steps are for advanced people only.
Okay. All right.
Is finding loops. So when you're able to attach a stimuli that attach to another stimuli and they're looping together, it's an upward spiral, and you can have orgasms that achieve level that you would not have believed possible in the past. So much so that at some point I thought I would fry my brain because I couldn't get out of one. And after 30 minutes, I was like, that's it. I'm gonna, this is my life.
Never gonna eat again. I'm just gonna orgasm till I die.
Yeah, I thought I was there. Absolutely. So when you are able to get out of them, and this goes to the next point, is safety in doing that. But finding loops. And if I can just share one. So, for example, succeeding to have a Joygasms made me happy. Being happy makes me tingle more. Tingle more, like in my heart, makes another Joygasms, which means that I succeeded to another level. So that brings me more happiness, more. And then so it's there's pride, happiness, joy, and there's everything into it. And it's amazing.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So, and I'm talking about safety because it can be so powerful that if you don't know that it's harmless, it can be really, really scary. So I got to see a neurologist. I was in a hospital, and I got all the machinery and a nurse that was there to see make me or try that I had the maximum orgasms I could have. And then we looked into my brain if it was dangerous, and good news, it is not.
Whoa, so. You got a brain scan of this. Oh my God. Oh my God. Actually, I'm sorry. That just brought up the craziest memory that I had not thought of for ages, which is that when I was like, I was probably, let's say 12, let's say the magical number of 12. I used to be able to just laugh and laugh and laugh forever, like 45 minutes of just laughing. And people started to look at me like there was something wrong with me, right? And like I once had to like go sit on the back porch of my friend's house because I was just laughing and couldn't fucking stop. I never linked these two things together.
And you should try to get that back.
I know. I mean, it was because people told me it was not okay, right? It was because people were like, I mean, it didn't happen to me that often, but like once in a while I would just fucking go off and everything would just be funny. And I kid you, like, I don't know how. It just, I laughed for 45 minutes straight. And yeah, just people look at you like you're insane.
And so when I was teaching that, oftentimes people would get scared. It's like, oh, but what if? Mm-hmm. It's like, no, you're safe. So for example, sometimes I stop breathing. Sometimes I have cramps. Sometimes, well, guess what? My body never let me die. I still, at some point, I have this gigantic orgasm that kicked me out of it. And it's even more pleasurable, or spasms that I have, like really intense muscle cramps. And I'm like, whoa, this is intense.
Oh yeah, I've had like the claw hands when I don't have enough oxygen in my brain. Yeah. Breath work helps to not get cramps, by the way.
Yeah, this is where I was going to.
Okay, perfect.
But for me, because there's no ceiling, I was like, a cramp? Wait, this is so intense. Dad.
Oh my God.
If I were to have an orgasm, it would be now.
Okay, so let me ask you, these orgasms, do you feel like they originate in your genitals, or do you feel like they originate in other places?
Well, that's why a lot of Tantra, they call them like full body orgasms, or they have this kundalini snakes that start from the sacral. So for me, I have different ones. So you may hear I have a French accent. So for me, they're all type of cheeses, right? This is my metaphor. So basically, most people only know mozzarella, and they're fine with that. Like what goes on the pizza. And then you're like, oh, this is a different flavor. This is a little bit like Gouda. And then you find like those body orgasms, but they're really soft. Like they don't feel as solid at first. You're like, oh, this is a brie. And then at some point, like you cultivate that more and more, and that there's more flavors that are there. So I have so many types of orgasms that, enjoy the flavors.
And then how would you, because like I know from my own experience, I have experienced full body orgasms, not as many times as you, for sure. This is why we bring on the expert. I am learning, honestly, I'm sitting here with like being like, fuck yes. I've wanting to know these steps for so long. I've missed all of your Joygasm workshops. So I'm like, yes, I'm just going to bring you on the podcast and I'm going to selfishly get all this information from you. It's going to be fucking great. I've been sharing. It's amazing. But so with my full body orgasms, yeah, there's like that moment of like, am I doing that right? Is that a full body orgasm? Like, and then I doubt myself and I'm like, what is this? Like, oh my God, I don't know. And so like, I guess that's my question is, like, what are the different sensations? Because like an orgasm physically in your genitals is like a fast like contracting and like of your muscles. So what are we experiencing in full body orgasms?
So for me, I will say, when I say follow your pleasure, the pleasure will be your teacher. You may arrive to a different conclusion than I will, right? So for me, I know my main joygasms are from my belly. There's a lot of contraction in my belly that comes from the breath, so this is one that is very often. I have some that originate from my calves, because when I have so many orgasms, I have a tendency to do pointy feet, and at some point it's all concentrate there. So follow your pleasure. And the funny thing is, there's even someone who did not believe I had orgasms. Like, I think you're just imagining what could be an orgasm. And I'm like,
do you know how powerful our fucking brains are? Yes, I'm imagining it. Also, it's fucking real because I'm imagining it.
So,
what?
For me, I thought it was so mansplaining. But in any event, yes, you know more my orgasms than I do. In any event, so, for example, I have some squirting orgasms, right? And those are one flavor. And even in my genitals, I have different parts that is originating. I have some that originate from the cervix. There's some that are, so it's just follow where it goes. And the most important part, don't be ashamed of anything. Anything. Yeah. Like, Okay, now I warn my partners.
I mean,
embark on the journey.
Okay, Amrita, the beautiful nectar of the gods, female ejaculation is fucking gorgeous. And also, it kind of surprises people when they don't expect it sprayed all over their face. So, in the same way that like sometimes it's nice to know that there's going to be a giant squirt of cum coming out of a cock, sometimes it's nice to warn people that you get projectile jizz.
I was talking about this, yes, but I was also saying warning that you will let your body express in all its beauty. And that if you have grimaces that they're not comfortable with, they can look elsewhere. They can close their eyes. So this, I started warning people that, but the ones that were not comfortable with that, they're not in my life. And it's great. The people that are celebrating my celebrations love, love, love it.
Yes, absolutely. And I would like to add that like that is something that is a place where I felt, right? Like it's so important for me to be celebrated in my pleasure by my partner. Otherwise, I experience less pleasure, right? Or I stop myself, or I feel like, oh my God, it's taking so long and I feel ashamed of myself. And then you go down a downward spiral instead of an upward spiral, and then you're not going to orgasm, right? And so in those moments where you'll be observed, like, getting permission and even saying so beforehand, like if you need that permission from somebody else, like it's not wrong to be like, hey, I need this confirmation beforehand. You want me to experience the maximum amount of pleasure, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to like love me no matter like if that's the relationship you have, like you're going to still feel the way like the same way about me afterwards as you do now, right? No matter what you see, even if I growl, even if I do this, right? Like
interesting.
It could be a warning, and it could also be a little bit of permission, right? Like it allows if that's what you need.
Interesting. I see. I would not ask for them to be loving me in the same way because we never can guarantee a reaction.
Fair.
So for me, I would not. But if they're not, you will find a partner that will. Like a lot of men wants to pleasure you. And if you have the most, like a face that is contortion by pleasure, it is to their benefit. You're telling them, thank you.
Yes. And your pleasure, if you are with someone who does not think that your pleasure is beautiful, I don't want to tell you what to do, but maybe they're not the right person, because your pleasure is beautiful. Everybody's pleasure is beautiful.
And this being said, having reassurance. So for me, one reassurance that I do say is if it starts being too much for you, let me know, like give me a 1 minute and I will wrap it up. Because it's okay not to last forever, not to have, it's okay to have that your partner has some limits sometimes. So it's to have a communication both ways.
Yes. And I really love that because yes, I have gotten in orgasm loops, never in a joygasm loop, but I have gotten in orgasm loops where it's like, it just goes and it goes and it goes and it goes. And sometimes it's a little bit of assistance in that moment, right? There's like somebody just pressing a magical button at this point where it's like, all you have to do is kind of just lightly touch it. Whoop, there I go again. And I could tell that it's at a certain point, it's like, okay, you've been sitting here for like 30 minutes, like giving me pleasure. Like, this is amazing. And also like, you're kind of done by this point, right? That's okay. That's okay. You can be done. You can be done. But I do, I love that. Okay. And tell me when you're about ready to call it done for today. That's okay.
Yeah. So to summarize a little bit, the last few minutes is telling your partner, I'm going to let myself rejoice completely and unapologetically, and it can be intense. So I will do that. If at some point you want to wrap it up, you have that permission to.
Yeah, I love that. Shared agreements, consent. Oh, so yummy. So beautiful. Oh, yes.
So again, like the funny thing is I brought all my techniques and my, to some of the most rigorous, scientific that I know. And I'm like, okay, what do you think about this technique? Can it be? And he's like, well, it would be hard to prove and so on. And he's like, I don't think this can be really completely scientific. And I'm like, well, I think I have done some of the scientific claim, meaning I had an hypothesis. I had some Yeah, an hypothesis. I tested it, and I got the result. So I did. It's just 1%, of course, but I encourage you to be your own scientist. And if the main goal of that is if your body, if your mind are into it, and if the science is not saying that you should not feel that, go ahead. You have our full permission, both from the spiritual community and the scientific community.
Yes, because our permission is all you need. But yes, absolutely. Your body is your own playground. You get to discover whatever's true for you, right? Like nothing is wrong. There's no way to do it wrong. There's no way to like, oh, I found an orgasm this other way. Like amazing, beautiful. That's what works for you, right? Like, yeah.
And if I can add 2 things, one about shame and one about what if it happens in public, okay? And how to stop it if it happens in a place I don't want to. First of all, people don't believe in that, most of them, right? So you say, oh, I have a condition that I have spasm, which is true. My condition is orgasming.
That's conditioned.
So like most people will not know, oh, maybe I should have started by this. Man, it is non-ejaculatory and there's no refractory period. So don't worry about that. You can have it in the bus. No one will know. The other point that I wanted to bring was about shame. Following the pleasure, the sensation, genitals, this is easy in a conversation about people who are not starting from the starting point of shame. What I love with the Joygasms, if you can completely like not doing sexual. I have non-sexual orgasms. Those are my favorite ones. I call them Joygasms because they're emotional. One of my, you ask a place, one of my best place is the heart. Because the heart is my orgasms that come from happiness, from pride, from love. Those are so yummy. Oh, by the way, my belly, it's from laughter also. I love it there. So you don't need to have the sexual connotation to have orgasms. So you can call them Joygasms. And when we talk about following your pleasure, if you're cut from your pleasure from your genitals because of shame, caressing your inner, like your wrist can feel good. And it's not about sex. It's not about orgasm. It's just about, does it feel good? Yes. I have been given a brain, a body that when I do this, it feels good.
Yeah.
I'm celebrating that. Yeah. That's it. And then from there, you go, what is the next thing that feels good? And you don't even need to go near your genitals if you don't want to.
Yeah. And also remembering that like people with feminine bodies tend to like enjoy pleasure kind of from the outside in, right? Like you want to feel safe, you want your emotions to be catered to, and then like slowly, like, yeah, starting from just the simple touches on, like your skin is an amazing organ and has so much feeling associated with it. Like use that, go on that for so long before you even touch genitals. And that goes advice for absolutely anybody. like at all times, it's so good to start on the outside and work your way in. Like, oh my gosh, taking the fact that us nowadays are like, oh my God, we just got to have orgasm real quick and get back to work. Like, brrr, and then we're done. Like vibrator on the genitals. Like it's very affronting in a way.
And one of the things I love is blurring the boundaries of it. For me, it's almost sexual is not there necessarily. And I think it goes further when it's not there anymore. For example, one of the new thing I'm doing is spiritual orgasms. And so with a group of people, we can meet and have masturbating together if that's what we want to, and orgasming together, or if it's not without like our genitals, it can just be energetic orgasms together. And there's something beautiful about orgasming together. And a lot of people are shameful about it. But if you remove the shame, it is Like some people love singing together. Why not orgasming together?
Oh, it's so natural. So can I come? When was this happening? I want to join in this.
Absolutely. Well, all the listeners, if you want to, like Sensa.care, this is where you can find me. And absolutely, there's some online that we can do this. So there's in person, and there's so many different aspects. Oh, and I talked a lot about spiritual and I said scientific. I am an agnostic at heart. So spiritual does not need to mean big spirituality. Spirituality can just means happiness of being alive and being part of a whole. And the whole is material, is there. Like we don't need to imagine it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody has their own experience of spirituality, and I'm coming to terms with my own and expanding it and also experimenting with it. And I think just like your sexuality, it's something you experiment with. You figure out what works for you and what you believe in and what ultimately enhances your enjoyment of life, right? Like that's what it's all about, is like to what level does it enhance your enjoyment? And past that, don't go there and don't be told to have less than that if that takes away from your enjoyment of life. Mm-hmm. I would also like to mention along the lines of like this sexual energy and doing it in public, and like one important piece of this kind of like energy and like starting to work with this kind of energy is that like, yeah, you might start getting activated in random places and in public. And what you need to remember is that this energy has a direction, right? That you can push it out towards somebody else, and that's when it becomes inappropriate, right? Like if you're, in my opinion, if you're directing it towards someone else, you need their consent. Mm-hmm. But if you are keeping it for yourself, if like I'm at an ecstatic dance and I'll like be generating energy through my chakras and going all through them, and I'll have like a little energy orgasm at the top, like that was all for me. And it wasn't sexual in that way too. So I know that you might have, I'm excited to explore your bounds of what's possible in public, but for me, it's so much more about where the direction is. Like, am I directing it inwards? Because I can generate sexual energy and direct it towards myself. And that to me is totally okay.
Chris, I'm going to ask you to specify, because when you say directing towards other people, we said energy scientifically, it does not exist outside of your brain. So in which way do you, for example, a way it's if you look at someone intensely in the eyes. So that would be a way that the person could feel uncomfortable. In which way you say that you are projecting the energy? Is it just the intent in your brain?
Yeah, I do really love the idea that, because I mean, I also have different, ideas and conceptions around energy, but I do really love, in the context that we're speaking of today, that like energy is where your intention is and where your focus is. Because definitely like I can, like when I say I'm moving energy through my body, I'm just taking my mind and like just moving where my mind space is through my body. Yeah. Right. That's really what I'm doing. And you're just hyper aware and hyper focused on that spot within you. And everything can be true, right? That can be true. And it can be this like spiritual, amazing force. But yeah, to me, that it then means you're focusing on someone else, right? And like your sexual energy, because like I've heard of crazy stories where somebody has an energetic orgasm with somebody else from really far away, and it's like tied together because they did have a linkage before, and that we don't have to go into the possibilities of that and what that means or if that's possible, whatever else. I've heard stories. That's all I'm going to say. Well, I haven't personally experienced it, but it's the direction. It's being like, I am feeling sexual energy towards you. I am directing this towards you. That's when it becomes inappropriate.
Okay. So since today the theme is Tantra and science, let's say that...
I can see it in your face when I said that. You're like, no.
Let's say that this has not been proven, and there's more evidence than not that it wouldn't work. And there's other mechanism at play that I would be happy to talk another time. This being said, if you want to go there, we can go there.
No, I don't want to go there. I just want to say that in some like, let's keep it outside of the realm of today's discussion, but that there are things like that people report, and that for them it is true, right? So in the same way that you're like, well, this doesn't have a scientific explanation, but it's true for you, it's true for other people. And like they've proven, or I've seen books like Why Woo Woo Works, which is one of my favorites, where there's this neuroscientist who goes into the scientific explanation for all these different woo-woo things, including like crystals and prayer, right? And then he explains how prayer works over a distance. And that there's some people who also go into the theory that like all it takes is 8 people praying on one thing because it's the intention and the thought behind it. So sorry. We can just leave all that on the side. We can just leave that to...
Well, before leaving it, I'm going to say that from a rigorous scientific approach, I am not endorsing this.
I know. Noted. Noted.
Yeah, moving along. So if we want to discuss about the what is appropriate in public and not, what we can have is the criminal code. There's no public indecency, right? And the other thing is sexual harassment. So these are 2 things that can be your guiding. So basically, if you do have, like, don't look intensely in a person and like, you get what I mean.
The look on her face is priceless for all of you who can't see it, which is all of you.
And so sexual harassment, as I said, you cannot do that, and public indecency. So as long as someone who doesn't know would not be able to know, and it could be seen as a tick, as whatever, this is the safe zone, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I totally see that. Yeah, I agree. That's all I have to say about that.
In any event, I would love to finish on a highlight, and it's unfortunate that it's a podcast because I love to give a demo on how you see it and all the possibilities. Just to tell you, you had some examples of sound of. If you want to explore that, it's really good to start on your own because this way you don't have shame. And when you can let yourself go where you want, I even ended up at some point almost singing opera. And it is what it is, right? So, yes, I am so happy for you guys. If you haven't started that journey, I am hoping that you will try. And the first step is, do you believe on a scale of 1 to 10, more than a 7, that it can happen to you? And the answer is yes. Please find a way to believe it.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And that you can learn to play your body like an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And it just takes practice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, some determination, some belief. Yeah.
And not only that, when you have your body as an instrument that has developed more tune, more music, then the people may enjoy more playing with you.
Yeah, hells yes. And absolutely, I want to like reiterate the like doing it by yourself first. That like partner play is really fun, but like the way that we can truly work on wiring our neurons together, those neural pathways to create new ways of orgasm, is doing it by yourself. Because like your self-pleasure creates a blueprint for how you're going to show up in partner play. Like the things that you do alone, like it's going to repeat, right? Your body's going to take the fastest pathway. And so in that way, like this is similar to how I got rid of my own sexual pain, right? Is that I started to wire differently, and slowly I got out of that like fear and pain based place that would always come up. Like, oh, I start getting turned on. Oh, I start getting scared. Right. And like, oh, I start feeling pain, even if it's a phantom pain. So like, yeah, all of that is possible with your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, brains are so big and beautiful and juicy and wet.
Absolutely.
Just like pussies. Except for, I don't know, pussies come in all sizes, I guess.
Brains too.
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, I like that. Oh, and so is there any way of, because like this is one beautiful process, is there any other techniques or little tips and tricks where we can kind of like bring this Tantra into our everyday lives?
Oh, yes. However, that's such a good question. As we said, Tantra means so many things. My definition of Tantra, which is the dancing with the objective truth and subjectivity. So a lot of people are very controlling and want things to happen, and they happen. One thing you can do is when something is, you notice what is your place in that tableau. And if things are in movement, what is the next best thing you should do in that dance? And this is a way of dancing with life. And this is a way of being tantric. Or just, okay, now you open a whole box of more. It can mean so many things. Like one of my best metaphor for Tantra is people who accept that everything you do is a piece of, I forgot the name, not wire, but it's tapestry. And how do you call it?
Like a quilt?
No, a tapestry that a little thread. Yes.
Ooh,
okay.
Okay.
So Tantra, what they say is everything you do is like a thread that has different colors, and some thread are with gold, and some are beautiful, and some are just like a color of shit, and it's not nice, and it's rough, and it's rugged, and a lot of people will try to avoid those. And Tantra is understanding that when you take a few step backs and you look at the tapestry of life, that color had its place, and it is part of the beauty. So one way of appreciating Tantra, but this is the spiritual Tantra day to day, is learning how life is happening, and you don't need to make it happen your way. And I'm guilty of being so bad at it. So, and that, yeah, everything is a practice, right?
So that like, that almost sounds like detachment and like just the act of acceptance as well, of just like everything has its place. But I like that idea of dancing with life and just kind of weaving through, and it has more flow to it. It has more, just acceptance and peace to it, I think.
And everything is somewhat related to our discussion, because there's some people, for example, they hear a buzzing sound and it will ruin their day. They have headaches. How did it get to there? They learn a stimuli that they did not like, and they solidify it, and so on. So it's being aware of whatever we solidify and whatever, and it's important. Do we want to solidify that or not? And we're like, most of us have started solidifying our neurons in our brains. Most of us, all of us, since we're fetuses. So it's hard to deconstruct, but it is possible. Deconstruct and construct, but also letting be. So everything is okay, as you said. Like there's no wrong answers in the end.
Yeah. I love that it, like, again, it comes back to that focus and attention, right? Like we have limited time, but we also have limited focus and attention that we can give to things, right? And like it started to like come out that people are talking about like your most valuable resource is your attention.
Yes.
Right? What you pay attention to. And so like it's your choice when you're walking down the street, whether or not you're paying attention to that thing that upsets you over there, or like the beautiful sunset, or the cute dog, or the feeling of your partner's hand in yours, right? Like everything is your choice, what you pay attention to. And that is what you're giving value to in your life. Yeah.
I have another metaphor.
Yes, please.
Slice of life. I was doing a hike towards Machu Picchu, and I was looking at the path because there was so much horseshit. And at some point, I looked around and I'm like, this is beautiful, but I cannot appreciate the beauty. I always have to watch where I step. And then I realized that it's much better to look at the beauty and step in once in a while, and you continue and you're okay, rather than trying to avoid everything, but just your focus being on bad things and bad luck. So I thought it's a beautiful metaphor. again, that we need to that I need to practice every day and remind myself.
Yes. I mean, that's the thing is like, we know all these things, but we need to be reminded. Like ever since you came over to do this podcast, I literally have been reminded so many times of like, oh, right. Yes. This. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this back to me. Like, this is why we need each other to hold up those mirrors and be like, and remind us of this stuff. Like where attention goes, energy flows.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. Yay. Amazing. Okay. And so as we're like kind of wrapping up here, is there anything else that is on your mind that you're like, absolutely, I need the listeners to hear this right now? Is there anything left that you'd like to share?
Oh, thank you. Okay. On the topic.
So we're going to start another hour.
Okay. I want to share a little bit more about my path, because we talked a lot about subjective truth and objective truth. And one truth that we barely talk about, which I love, is Bayesian truth. And Bayesian, this is also Mr. Bayes. I don't remember his first name on the top of my head, but basically it's about probability. So there's some truths that are not probable. So even if, for example, you're like, oh, I'm the next prophet, it will feel amazing, right? And you may believe it, especially if you have taken some substances. But the fact is it probable? And that there's some truths that are less probable than others. And that's why when I was talking about the junction between the subjective truth and objective truth is often about what is the most probable. And it is good to, if you only look at your subjective truth, you're likely to become more and more delusional. But you will feel amazing, right? It will feel amazing until things catch up to you, right? So, for example, if you jump off a cliff and you're like, it's amazing, I can fly, this is my subjective truth, good luck. And at the same time, if you just look at what science says and you go with what science says, well, science is not built for you. Like it's adjusting your seat, and it's about also the middle ground of it. Adjusting the seat, there's such a good study that was made, and I don't know if we have time. Do we? You can
go
cut
for
it.
Go for it.
So basically, they were seeing that to make the airplanes better for soldiers, they wanted to measure all the soldier and making a cockpit that would be completely adapted to the measurements. And what they found is the number of accidents did not decrease. It actually increased, and they did not understand. And then they did more studies and measurement, and they understood that no one is average in everything. So what they started to do is adjustable seats to be with everyone. And what is science? It gives you the parameters of what is possible. And then you look with your subjective truth. What is your seat? How can you adjust it in those parameters? And this is when you will be most likely inside what is the most probable truth.
Yeah, I love that. And from the context of like this discussion too, that like maybe don't rewrite the map, use somebody else's map, but like make your own pathway within it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I did rewrite the map, but you don't need to.
She wrote a new map. She got it tested scientifically by neurosciences. I love that. I absolutely love that. I'd forgotten or didn't know that you went and got like MRIs of yourself doing this. Like,
it was magical. When I got out of that room, the waiting room was just next to the room, and they were all looking at me and was like, I want that doctor.
Oh my God, it's like the Meg Ryan moment where it's like, I'll have what she's having.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's absolutely amazing. Oh, yes. Okay. I love that. I love the adjustable seat metaphor. All right. And is there anything else that comes to mind before we close?
Well, if you give me more time, I always have things to say. Okay. So there's a middle ground between objective truth and subjective truth, which is probable truth. And there's also the two components that are extremely important. Does it serve you? Does it serve others? And if you go at the center of subjective truth, objective truth, what it serves you and what it serves other, this is the best life you can live, I believe.
Oh, yes. Actually, I think we have talked about that one before. Okay. Well, this is now steering away from the topic. So I'm going to bring us back and say, well, thank you so much for being on. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yes, just the amount of laughter and joy and the way you just light up the microphone with the room and just everything and all of your beautiful knowledge and your scientific expertise. And it's just been absolutely amazing. So is there a place where people can go to find you or to seek out your expertise, seek out your offers?
Absolutely. Now you can email at info@sensa.care, or you can go at sensa.care to find me.
Amazing. Okay. And those will all be linked below in the episode description. So yeah, thank you listeners so much for listening, and Sensa so much for being on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And with that, we come to the end of this episode of Reclaim Your Radiance. Thank you so much for listening in. If you enjoyed this episode and came away with some valuable insights, the absolute best way you can show your support and appreciation is by sharing it with your friends or on social media. Your support is absolutely invaluable. To connect, find us on Instagram at @HellOfAHall or on TikTok at Reclaim Your Radiance. Or you can sign up for our mailing list to receive bonus content and stay in touch with what's happening in the world of Reclaim Your Radiance, including local workshops, retreats, self-love courses, personal one-on-one coaching, and so much more. Head on over to the episode notes in the show description to find those links, and we hope to hear from you soon. All right, everyone, until next time, stay radiant.